Well, the River State Police Command said it will enforce court orders as regarding the local government elections bill to be held on Saturday in the state. The command spokesperson, Grace Siringe Koko, in a press statement titled "Proposed October 5th, 2024 Local Government Chairman Election." In that statement, the police confirmed being in receipt of a restraining order preventing them from providing security during the LGA elections. What is it about this local government election? You've heard several states in the last few weeks and months conducting local government elections. Why is that of River State an exception? Let's get some insight into all of this tonight. I'm being joined by a well-respected senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. OCJ Okocha, who joins us, former NBA president. He joins us virtually live from Port Harcourt. It's good to see you, Mr. Okocha. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean, and good evening, viewers.
Yeah, it's been a cocktail of legal, political confusion and controversies. Now, let's take away, let's begin the conversation from the legal standpoint, because that is one point that has caused division. Whether or not this election should hold, there is a River State High Court that has given a ruling in that matter. There is the Federal High Court in Abuja that has given a ruling on the same matter. Those who have debated that this is a conflicting ruling of courts of coordinate jurisdiction, and how we have come to this point is now causing a lot of legal confusion. Give us an insight on what you think is going on politically and legally in the Rivers LG polls.
Thank you. Now, let me say that there is a difference between a ruling based on an interlocutory or interim application and a judgment that has produced a decision, which is a final decision after a case has been heard on its merits. The ruling of 5th September was an interim order made by IPC Igwe, a judge of the High Court of Rivers State, giving permission for elections to be held into local government councils in Rivers State. That did not involve INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, localized its concerns with the parties that were before it, the judge, the court. But the judgment of the 30th of September is a final judgment after all parties concerned have been heard by an appropriate from the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is a federal agency, the State Independent Electoral Commission, which is a state agency, Attorney General of Rivers State representing the Rivers State government, and then the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Security Services. Of course, that kind of case involving federal agencies must go to the Federal High Court that has jurisdiction, which is what jurisdiction was exercised by that court presided over by Lifu J, Justice Lifu, that delivered a judgment on 30th of September. Now, we know that it is the latest order, the latest judgment in time that parties ought to be bound by. So, the orders made by Lifu J after a case heard on its merits, the reason will tell you that that is the order that should operate. And that is the order upon which we as Rivers State concerned citizens and elders said the time is not right for the Rivers State Independent National Electoral Commission to hold this local government election fixed for 5th of September of October 2024. But I'm surprised that the government of Rivers State, headed by the governor, Sir Fubara, has gone ahead to say openly that he will hold elections and said that there's no order stopping the elections. I don't believe that his Attorney General has advised him appropriately on the purport of this order. The 6th or 7th decision made by the court is very clear. The order was directed at all the parties, 1st to 5th defendants, in furtherance of the purported local government elections slated for 5th of October. And the court said clearly that every step taken is set aside until the mandatory provisions of the law have been complied with. This should be clear to everybody. This court has said, don't hold elections yet because you've not complied with the requisite procedure as analyzed by law. I don't know why there should be a controversy. So this is the point, that this order is clear, even to what I would say laymen. You don't need a lawyer to interpret this for you. You don't need a judge to interpret it for you. I wonder why there's a controversy. So this is my position, and I hope that all concerned will understand that it's important that we respect what we call the rule of law. Judgments of courts are to be obeyed. If you feel dissatisfied, go on appeal.
Yeah, let me jump in quickly. Now, in the Justice Lifu's judgment, and you see the position, the prayers that were answered by the court, there were 7 of them in that particular order that was issued and signed on the 30th of September. I'm very sure that that's the same one you are referencing, sir. Is that right?
You say what?
Is it the same, the one that was signed on the 30th of September in the Federal High Court, Justice Lifu? Fantastic.
Yes,
so I just wanted to be sure that we are on the same page. But I'm hoping that my producers will put this up on the screen.
Number 7.
Yeah. So there are 7 prayers which the court responded to and gave its position. Now, in all of this, I tried to read, except if I omitted, my eyes didn't quite catch a few. But I do not see where the court says do not hold local government elections. It restrained the parties in it, including INEC, from giving out the national register. It restrained the DSS and the police from being part of the exercise. But there isn't any place where it has stopped the RCEC from going ahead of the election. Is it part of the prayers of the APC?
So there is. An election is a process, not an incident. It starts from announcements of the timetable for the elections, allowance given to parties to conduct their primaries and select their candidates. Then they begin to campaign and then go to the election on the day fixed for election, and thereafter results are announced. There is a process, and that is what the court referred to in number 7 here. I'll read it again. An order is hereby made, setting aside all acts or things done or purported to be done by the 1st to 5th, all the defendants in the case, in furtherance of the conduct of the purported local government elections in Rivers State, slated for the 5th of October 2024, until the mandatory provisions of law are completed. You follow? So this is what it is, that everything you've done in preparation of this election, the court has said is purported. You didn't do it correctly. Go back and do the right thing. And until it is done, do not conduct elections. That is what it means.
Yeah, Mr. Okocha, Okocha. So now when we wonder that that number 7 ruling or order of the court perhaps looks like almost the most important in the interpretation that you have given. So I imagine that such a heavy and weighty part of that order shouldn't even be kept or inferred. It should be outright in his position or the stance of the court to say, do not go ahead to conduct the election. Because in the interpretation, the other side are saying the court did not say we should not go ahead with the election, as is not explicit in that order.
It is, if you look at it carefully, because it says everything you have done up to this point is not right. Go back and comply. If it is not right, then that is telling you that all the preparations you made are irregular, unlawful, and in defiance of the provisions of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Independent Electoral Commission law. It's there.
Now, so let me quickly ask you.
I hope you are following me.
Quickly. Now, the Federal High Court position on a local government election and the position of the State High Court, which one, from your experience as a lawyer, which one do you think owed as much water, if I may put it that way? Because a local government election, when we imagine that falls directly under the jurisdiction of the High Court in the state. And now, when the Federal High Court in Abuja is weighing in on this matter, isn't this the kind of confusion that is being raised against the judiciary, as how the judiciary brings itself into this kind of confusion and causes some kind of political tension in the land?
Well, that is the reality of the situation, that the State High Court had made an order, an interim order on the 5th of September, did not have all these parties before it. And for the completeness of the jurisdiction exercised by the State High Court, you will see that there are some lacuna in the matter. But the Federal High Court, in a later judgment, and the position of the law is clear, the latest order made by a court of competent jurisdiction is the order that will apply, which is why I keep referring to this order number 7, which you can read it out to the public so that people will understand what I'm talking about here.
So my question here is that...
So there should be no confusion in the matter.
Isn't this some of the issues that are being raised against the judiciary, that why would Court of Coordinate Jurisdiction meddle into cases of similar interest or same interest? Should the Federal High Court have even gone into this matter in any case, when a High Court is already entertaining jurisdiction upon this matter? Isn't an abuse of jurisdictional powers or abuse of...
I'm sorry. A court looks at a matter based on the facts placed before it. And as I told you, there's something about completeness of the jurisdiction of a particular tribunal, that is the court, looking into any matter. You are talking about conduct of election. You are talking about voters register. You are talking about security. You are talking about a state agency holding an election, in respect of which they need federal agencies to support that election. 5th of September did not have all the parties before it. Judgment, I keep saying. Judgment is after a case has been heard on the witness as a quality of this ruling, which is why I say this is the one that everybody should be looking at, not an interim order made by IPC with justice.
Now, there are those also who would disagree that this is largely a political matter. Why every other state is conducting their local government election, why is Rivers State case evidently looking so different and extraordinary? This is just a local government elections.
Chair, what did you say?
So I'm asking that there are those who are worried that this is largely political, and the fact that it's unfortunate that the judiciary is being dragged into this matter, and that the fact remains that other states are conducting these local government elections. Now is the turn of Rivers State. Why does it now look extraordinary when Rivers State wants to conduct his own? Why are the political heavyweights and the political gladiators at loggerheads over the local government election? Other states have conducted theirs peacefully.
Let me tell you, you know as a fact that the judiciary is the final arbiter in all disputes. Political contests are disputes. People are contesting for votes. People say, do it this way, this is how it should be done. And if it is not done that way, anybody aggrieved can go to court. And the court settles the matter finally. Because the parties have no rights, they have no jurisdiction, they have no authority, to decide their own disputes. It is the judiciary that's given that power, which is why all cases, as you see, that have gone to court are brought to the logical conclusion. So it is not a political thing that the court is dabbling into. The court is dealing with rights and interests of the parties who are in a political contest. And they have rights and interests. And they have every entitlement to pursue those rights and interests through the courts up to the highest level.
How did Rivers State get to this point? Who would you blame for it?
Well, I don't know why that question is coming up. Parties are involved. They are all Rivers citizens. An independent electoral commission is involved. That is an agency of the Rivers State government. The person that manages the electoral register, which is what is in place for conducting election, is INEC, a federal agency. The parties that deal with security at elections, the Inspector General of Police, namely the police, and then the Department of State Security Services. So these are matters that pertain on their rights and responsibilities under the law. And if they don't get it right, they will go to seek redress in the courts, and the court will give them directions on what to do, which is what this order has done. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. And everybody should obey the judgment of the courts.
There are those who will say tonight that your position tonight is perhaps one that is not surprising, because they think that you are a very good friend of the Minister of the FCT, and that's why you hold this. But are those who will say, blame the political actors for what is happening to Rivers State. How do you respond to that?
Let me say this. Leave personalities out of the matter. When we deal with cases, we deal with issues. The Minister of the FCT is not a party in this case. Why should anybody be calling his name?
But this is a political matter, Mr. Okocha. This is a political matter, which, of course, the political interests have their hands digged into it. If they have not stopped this process through the court, or tried to stop the process through the court, we'll perhaps not be talking about it. And that are those who are saying that you're a friend of Mr. Wike, are they wrong?
Listen, as I said, we should leave personalities out of the matter. The issues involved are issues of law and has nothing to do with personality. You follow? It is individuals that are raising all these allegations, which have no bearing on the matter. The parties in this case are institutions. All Progressives Congress, Independent National Electoral Commission, Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, Attorney General of Rivers State as representative, legal representative of government of Rivers State, and the State Security Service, DSS. All these are institutions. The matter has nothing to do with individuals. Nothing particularly to do with Nyesom Wike, who is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. So people should move away from parochialism and, casting aspersions on individuals just because they want to score what I call a cheap political point. We are before the law courts, and what we are looking at, the law and the judgment of the courts, regardless of who is involved and whose interest is detrimented. I am an interested party, you are, we're all citizens of Nigeria. But we're not parties in this case. We're only interested in the issues being resolved in accordance with the rule of law.
As an elder, just to wrap this up quickly, as an elder in Rivers State and a stakeholder, what in your mind do you think will be the way forward? The governor has said election will go on tomorrow. But from your own standpoint, what do you think is the way forward?
The way forward is for the State Independent National Electoral Commission, the governor of Rivers State, represented by the Attorney General of Rivers State, to obey the order of the courts. All others have agreed to obey. INEC has said we've not given them register. We will not give them in compliance with the rule of with the order of the courts. The Inspector General of Police, speaking through the police spokesman in Rivers State here, has said we will obey the order of the courts and will not provide security for the election. And if you don't provide security for election, there is bound to be problems. In every likelihood, people will go amok, run amok, take the law into their own hands. What we want is peace. What does the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission lose by going back to the drawing boards to start the process all over again and ensure that it is properly done in accordance with the law in place.
All right.
So this is my take on it. People are hitting up equality for no just cause whatsoever and calling people's names up and down. You know, and then you hear them say one man. Who is that one man they are referring to? Nyesom Wike. Nyesom Wike has nothing in this matter.
Thank you so much, Mr. OCJ Okocha, former NBA president, senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for the perspectives that you shared on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbaloye. I'm very grateful. Thank you, viewers, for listening.